Hey guys! So, in this video you and I are going to talk about functional programming. So let's get into it. Now, this is not going to be a remake of my previous videos about functional programming. I am here to tell you today to take a step back. I'm going to try to help you off the hype train. I'm going to try to convince you that being a pragmatist is better than being a zealot. So, what do I mean by this? Well, I want us to go back, all the way back to the days of declarative programming, or procedural programming is probably the right term for this. There was a time where everybody wrote, every single program they wrote as one big massive execution of logic. And that was probably at the time working out very well for some people, and it wasn't working out all that well for another set of people. And my guess is that that other side thought, hey, maybe we need to improve this somehow, because this is not a natural way for us to work and it's causing these issues. So let's try to adjust this and make it make a difference. Let's make a change for the better. And slowly but surely things evolved and we got object-oriented programming, and we rejoiced. The world was finally at peace. So we started working in object-oriented fashions, and we were all super excited about domain-driven development. We were all excited about having encapsulation, all these awesome benefits, and there were tons of books written on how to do it, and there was tons of people going up on stage, getting paid to spout their opinions about how to write clean software out into the world. The world was at peace. And then people started realizing that, damn, you had this group of people where this really worked. It really worked for them. It naturally flowed in their minds, and they could make it work. And then they had that other group again, who just messed things up. They couldn't really get object-oriented programming to work. They found that there were long inheritance chains and spiderweb dependencies and all kinds of bullshit. And then this test-driven development stuff came into existence. Who would have thought that, right? And all of a sudden you have to start like stubbing and mocking and all that other bullshit that nobody wants to do. So they looked back in time and realized that, hey, there was this amazing genius group of people back in the day who was trying to push the idea of functional programming. And what's beautiful about functional programming is that it's about pure functions. It is about simplicity. It's about composability and all these satisfying engineering terms that really resonates really nicely with this group of people. And it's very testable if you do it right. And remember what I just said there. If you do it right, let's get back to that one. So they started pushing the idea of modules, pure functions, functional programming, composability, all these awesome things that are today so popular. And you may realize something, or maybe you don't, because if you are on the hype train with everybody else about functional programming, you may realize something, or I hope so. This is what I understood. There's no difference. What do I mean? Well, there are people who are making functional programming work, and it resonates very nicely with them, and there's a big bunch of people who can't get it to work to save their life, because it doesn't really, the way that they want to work and the way that they solve problems doesn't really fit into this way of working. And when I realized this, that functional programming, although it fits very well into my way of thinking, it's not a silver bullet. Even though it is the most trendy thing around today, everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants to do it. Even the people I've spoken to at companies that are very object-oriented have a lot of people who are really advocating the adoption of functional principle in their code base, even if it's a completely object-oriented world. And that's what I was saying earlier. That's the thing I wanted you to remember. Remember? Oh, you remember. Everybody can fuck things up in every practice. Because if you don't do something right, it doesn't matter which way you're trying to solve the problem. I have seen people fuck up functional program as fucking bad as I've seen people mess up object-oriented programming. I have messed up functional programming. I even had to be a little bit selective. I almost feel like a Protestant where I had to kind of slice away the things I didn't like from the Bible so that it could fit with my worldviews. It's the same thing. I had to pick some things from functional because some things were so gosh damn complicated that I couldn't really make it work for me. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it didn't really work for me. And the same thing goes for object-oriented programming. And the fact of the matter is that you can write shitty code in any practice. It is true. You can fuck up any style of coding regardless of what's popular. So here's why what I suggest to you. Learn from all of them. Pick the things that makes sense to you from each practice. And start thinking in terms of good software as opposed to a good approach. Now, I'm not saying that a good approach is a bad thing. Maybe the word I should use is a good practice or a good style of coding. Because there are things that are a good idea in object-oriented programming, just as there are good ideas in procedural programming, just as there are good ideas in functional programming. And if you want to be a true master of software, I urge you to understand each of these perspectives and really transcend these trendy ways of labeling software development and start thinking in terms of good ideas. Things that make you productive, things that make you be able to write good software, because at the end of the day, you can write good software in procedural programming, you can write it in object-oriented programming, and you can write it in functional programming. None of them are a silver bullet. They're just different takes on the same problem. They're just trying to help you to write good software, but you're the one who has to be able to look at the situation and say, all right here in this situation, this is a good idea.